So the title "Flicking Daisies," the title of my film, represents like disturbing something childlike and innocent, because daisies are seen as a pure, like unaffected and youthful, but the concept of flicking them is kind of destroying and disturbing the small, almost like invisible thing. It's kind of like a metaphor for Lex's childhood and innocent values being destroyed, and it's like the when you flick something, somebody else is doing that to the object. So it's like it's not her that's destroying her values, it's like somebody else is controlling it. In the opening, the title itself is just on a black background, simple with white writing, much like the Trainspotting title, because it's simple and obvious and doesn't distract from anything else but makes it quite clear. It's in the middle of the screen, as all the other titles I've used are either in the lower right hand or left hand corner, and so the main title is centred to show that it's the main title. The location of my opening is a bit too middle class for the convention of a social realist film, because usually they use like a grimy flat or like grungy backstreet alleys and all that sort of thing. But obviously I was limited to what I could use. So the house itself is quite middle class. It doesn't affect the film too much because the scenario is a house party, and so having a house is obviously a main part of that. With props and with costumes and makeup, props, it was quite easy to get what I wanted. It's not hard to find some bottles of alcohol, and the fact that my friend actually had a fancy dress party herself kind of allowed me to use the costumes there. Due to the fact that the drug shown to be taken is supposedly a hallucinogenic, the fancy dress kind of demonstrated her trip, and this is common in in other media productions, because often they kind of show on the screen what the person under the influence of the drug can see. So, as you can see in the screenshot, this is familiar to Trainspotting, where the character Renton hallucinates and he sees the baby, which is in the middle of the screen. And this is that's where I got my inspiration from, really, to kind of just show what she's seeing. Lex, the character, also wears black in any normal shots. And she and that's to show that she's mysterious, unknown, and trying to hide in the background. Other props like the drug itself was just sugar, just grounded up sugar to kind of demonstrate that something was being taken without it being an actual drug. The camera work was quite simple and easy to do. In one of the shots, I follow the character in one fluid motion, which is quite a common convention in the social realist genre, where they either follow a face or an action just as one. Also, the close-up shots are similar to the film Requiem for a Dream, the close-up shots of the eyes, as it demonstrates how the drug is affecting the person, and it's the easiest way to show it. With the editing, I used colour enhancers. I repeated a lot of shots in the party shots, in the montage of the party shots. I use contrast and opposite colours, just kind of to give it a really weird feel, and make it quite strange to watch. There's also a split screen effect. It's just kind of, all those were just kind of used to demonstrate the trippiness of the situation. The cuts are also quite fast throughout, as it's in Trainspotting, in the opening they use really quite fast cuts to kind of get a lot in and tell a small story quite quickly, and it's also like confusion, like, so it's quite common in social realist films to use quick cuts in like the first 5 minutes or so. The other titles in the opening, like the names of other actors, directors, writers, are again just on a simple black background with white writing, kind of block font, so it's easy to read and doesn't distract from the action of the film. It's quite similar, I think, to like Bullet Boy uses kind of just the titles not superimposed onto the action itself. So it's quite common to use this, and it kind of just doesn't distract from what is actually happening. So the story of the film is kind of suggested in the first 2 minutes, because you see Lex's lifestyle. You see the fact that she's at a party, she's taking drugs, so it's like, and she's smoking, she's drinking. That's kind of her lifestyle in one, really. It also shows the fact that she's got a boyfriend, and because he comes out to find her and see her, he obviously cares for her. So that kind of suggests something in the future, that he's going to be there for her. When she is alone, she goes outside to be alone to smoke her cigarette, kind of, that suggests her isolation immediately. Like, it's kind of showing that she does feel alone, she like she wants to be alone to calm herself down. And the sequence ends on her walking back into the house, which kind of suggests for the rest of the story that she's trying to go somewhere, but she's not really sure where she wants to go. Recording. Thanks. Yeah. I think because the fact that she does take drugs kind of already suggests for the rest of the story what's gonna be going on, that she's got issues, and that they will eventually be addressed in the rest of the film. I think the genre is shown, like suggested in the opening sequence, quite obviously, because although the location isn't ideal, you know, the character, she takes drugs, which is very common in social realist films. She smokes, which is another common aspect in films like this. You know, she's at a party. She's obviously feeling quite... because she is alone in a lot of the sequence, she that kind of suggests an underlying issue, which is what makes up a social realist film at the end of the day. It's what makes it interesting. Yeah. Lex, the main character, is introduced as she wears black, and immediately she's seen to be taking drugs, which fits with the convention of social realism films. The black clothing kind of demonstrates a particular type of person, like somebody who's quite kind of rebellious, and then she barely speaks in the sequence. She only says like 2 words, so she's introduced as a quiet person. And when her boyfriend Tom comes out to speak to her, she's quite defiant towards him. And so that kind of shows her independence and her kind of untrusting nature. She doesn't really want to talk to him and tell him what's going on.